Christmas is always such a special time of the year, I always think. We have the lovely Christmas music. We have the lights that make everything sparkle. Cards with messages from old friends and relatives, perhaps that we don't see very often. The food, the presents, the nativity plays. Everything is a celebration of when the baby Jesus, the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings, came to a dirty old animal shelter with no facilities and nobody to welcome him except a few shepherds and some strangers from foreign lands. Doesn't seem right, does it? Did God make a mistake? If you'd been in charge of all those preparations all those years ago, how would you have organised it? Not like that, I'm sure. If I were God up there in heaven, and my son was born upon the earth below, I'd want the world to know. I'd write his name up in the sky. I'd have the angels standing by to sing his praise. I'd send the heavenly host to guard his ways. I'd make it clear that he was truly royal, a majesty descended from on high. I'd want the best for him, the very best for him. I'd want the world to know I loved him so. If I were God up there in heaven, and my son was born upon the earth below, I'd want the world to show how much they recognized his worth. I'd want all peoples on the earth to kneel and bow. No basic stable bear would I allow. No manger full of hay would I consider. I'd want a palace fitting for his birth. I'd want the best for him, the very best for him. I'd want the world to see I loved him so. If I were God up there in heaven, and my son was born upon the earth below, I'd want his fame to grow, as over all the earth he'd reign. 1,000 angels would protect his every move. I'd keep him safe, secure within my love. No sacrifice would ever be required of him. He'd never suffer grief or time of pain. I'd want the best for him, the very best for him. I'd want the world to see I loved him so. If I were God up there in heaven, and my son was born upon the earth below. But my ways are not your ways, declares the Lord. Neither are your thoughts my thoughts. So Joseph went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he was of the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged in marriage to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in strips of cloth and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn.